Steve, welcome.
Welcome, everybody. I'm broadcasting today from the beautiful state of the Garden State, New Jersey.
Pretty nice.
It is. We got an ocean too, you know.
I know. I'm well
Yeah.
aware of that. I'm well aware. But anyway, thanks for coming back to us, everybody. It's like a beautiful day today. It's the second week of the NFL, so we got a lot to talk about. But I will hand it over to my partner for this week's monologue, which is sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York.
Well, you mentioned the three words or the three letters NFL, and it opened up last week. And what I want to talk about is the viewership of week one. The NFL, which we know is a money-making machine with no end in sight, had 17 million viewers for week one. And it's the highest total of viewers since 1998. And what do we attribute this to? Obviously, it's legalized sports betting. It's the fantasy football. It is, that it's pretty much it. Okay. So the NFL is record numbers, 17 million this year, which means most likely 20 million opening viewers next year, which means 23, this is just not going to stop and it's because of the legalized betting, meaning, you don't have to go to the back alley and see your bookie on a Sunday morning and things like that. Now, this record viewership with all this betting money going on is in despite of Brian Flores suing the National Football League, Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, being banned, Henry Ruggs, number one draft pick of the Raiders a year ago, driving 160 miles an hour and killing another person drunk. This is despite the disgusting saga of Deshaun Watson, who is going to sit out 11 games, and we've talked ad nauseum about this. But the one franchise is the Cleveland Browns. They don't care. What do they care? Why? Because it's about money, and that's it. So I just wanted to bring this to the attention that the NFL, despite its being its own worst enemy, the concussions we've talked about, so they have all of this money. And then it disgusts me like it does you when a player or a retired player is in need and they have to jump through God knows what kind of hoops, right? So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The NFL is not going anywhere, folks. And
No.
in fact, it's like the universe up there. It's expanding.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. I mean, we have talked time and time again about this. There is a lack of, let's say, character in the National Football League. There's a lack of character with the leadership of the National Football League. And they just keep letting this stuff go on and on. And you're probably right, Steve. The viewership has got to be tied to this legalized sports betting, which I just can't stand. I think it's a detriment to the sports, and I think the integrity at some point will be compromised. But listen, you and I grew up on this. We still watch it. It's something that it's in our nature, and we can't seem to turn it off in spite of all that's going on. But just for the record, we don't advocate this stuff. And Roger Goodell, you should be ashamed of yourself for holding back, like Steve said, on that concussion thing. You knew exactly what was going on, and you buried it, and then you signed some paltry little check to these guys. And hey, kudos to Mike Ditka for taking a stand and bringing this at least to the forefront. So anyway, so Steve,
Ditka.
So why don't we stick with the NFL? And again, we're in week 2. Let's do a kind of a little recap of week 1. Some surprises. Giants go down to Tennessee and they win. Gutsy call. I think it's pretty good that the Giant fans, and I have my Daniel Jones shirt on today, and yes, he made a terrible pass in the end zone, and we get that. But I think he's got a good coach to help him, get over that hump. And I'm optimistic about it. And we've talked, time and time again. We can't, there's nothing you could do about injuries, but Saquon Barkley really, he didn't even get the credit that he deserved for that 2-point conversion. I mean, he dodged 2 guys and then bulled his way into the end zone. So that was great. Now they got Baker Mayfield, so I like their chances today, but we'll talk about our picks.
Well, we're right back to the Giant game. Dayball was praised during the week. First win, I get it. But, people were, in my opinion, really drinking too much Kool-Aid over, he was so bold. Oh, well, he went for the 2 points. Ooh, And I'm saying to people that I'm talking to about it, I'm saying, why wouldn't he? What would he have to lose?
I know.
To not go for 2, folks. Okay, but I'm not knocking him at all. I'm just saying, trying to temper, people saying, "Oh, he's so bold, went for 2."
We're not popping champagne bottles just yet. I'm saying it's the first
I'm
time.
just telling people, chill, baby. It's week 1.
But it's the first time we've won week 1 in 6 years, and it's just,
Yeah, and the Giant fan has to be happy, like you said about Barkley.
Yeah.
Right. So as long as this guy's healthy, Saquon Barkley will be productive, and let's hope he has a good year and stays healthy.
Yep. But let's talk about your Cowboys because they lost their quarterback.
All right, season's over. It took 2 hours. Next.
Look, you got Cooper Rush. You guys should be fine, right?
Listen, from all accounts, Cooper Rush has been in the Cowboys. I can't blame you. But Cooper's been a backup for over 6 years in the Cowboy organization. By all accounts, he's well-liked, well-prepared. There's a reason he's been there for 6 years, especially during the Jerry World, tenure, right? Obviously, he came in last year against Minnesota, threw for 325 and beat the Vikings. However, the difference being this year, he doesn't have Amari Cooper out there. He doesn't have weapons like he did last year. Okay, let's be real. Michael Gallup's hurt. CeeDee Lamb, was quiet for the most part. Dak missed a few throws to him. I can't really blame him. But I got nobody on the right side. Noah Brown, played at Ohio State. The guy's done absolutely nothing in the NFL. And Tyron Smith is out, and Dak is out. So, to me, I think the Cowboys listen, if they surprise today and beat Cincinnati, which I highly doubt they will, okay, then we can, maybe take a deep breath and see if they can survive this. But my gut feeling says this is going to be a long, long, long year. And at this point, I would say a top 5 pick might be in the offing.
And I've told you all along, I think the biggest liability that the Cowboys have is is Mike McCarthy. I just think I don't know what's gone on with him. I mean, I just don't see him as having a firm grasp on this. And you got to hang Jerry Jones. He's the one that signs. He's the GM. He puts these guys on the field. But you'll get through. Rush will win a game or 2 for you before Prescott comes back. But a lot of other things going on in the
So real quick on the Cowboys, as soon as Dak went down, I was hoping Jerry was in his box. Hey, get Sean Payton on the phone for me, please. Sean, Jerry, how you doing, Sean? Just wanted to call you to get these negotiations underway now because we feel you should be the next Dallas Cowboys head coach, Sean. But that goes to the point about I don't see Mike McCarthy lasting past this year.
No, and they might not even last the season. But you're right, Sean Payton will be the head coach next year.
I don't know if he will be, but I know Jerry's going to do everything in his power to try.
So let's talk also about that Monday night game because I gotta call this out. These Seattle Seahawks fans booing Russell Wilson on his return, and to me, first of all, he's the only guy that's ever done anything for that franchise. Brought them their first Super Bowl, and it just wasn't working out. So, 10 years at the helm, and they boo him. Those fans should be ashamed of themselves. And I was really appalled by it. And I'm sorry. It just,
So I was
besides
surprised. I was surprised by it. Not that he got booed, but the the level of
the
booing
intensity, the whole
was off the
stadium was
charts.
booing. Yeah.
But again, when a player like that leaves your organization, they're bitter, they're hurt. So week one he comes back. So that's the only I don't know. The only credible thing I could say as to maybe why the intensity was because he just left and now he's back.
And I hope it's another 20 years before they win a Super Bowl. That's how upset I was at that.
That is right, Mr. Bennett. Loyalty. Very good call on that. One
Russell
word.
Wilson has been nothing but a class act since the day he came into this league, and I just thought it was appalling. Now let's talk about the game. There's a lot of controversy about, the fourth down, and he went for the field goal. And you know what? This kid could hit that kind of a field goal, and he just missed it. I don't have a problem with that decision at all. What was your thoughts on that?
No, listen. It's a 64-yarder. I mean, let's be real. Can he hit it?
Distance.
Can he hit it? Yes. But you just traded for Russell Wilson? What does Russell Wilson do? He's got magic in his feet on a fourth down play. So I'm on the side. I give the ball to Russell Wilson. And also, because he's getting murdered by the fans, I'm going to give him an opportunity to extend, the drive and so on and shove it up the fans' asses.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't hang Hackett for that call at all, actually. But you're right.
It's only week one, but you got to have brass balls to be an NFL coach. So the scrutiny's going to come. So
let's also just touch base on the New York Jets and this decision to stick with Joe Flacco, which, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. He's really basically immobile. And you brought this up that you actually gave Mike White a lot more credit than I did. But I think Robert Saleh is so in over his head as a head football coach, certainly in this town. And now all he's doing is alienating the fans with these asinine comments that he makes. I think, what do you have to lose? I mean, how many games do you think you're going to win with Joe Flacco? The guy's 37, 38 years old. At least give this kid White a shot. Because you and I talked about it, Steve. We were both all in on this Zach Wilson. I'm not sure how this is going to pan out in the long run anyway. So I think you got to give an opportunity to Mike White. What do you think?
I'm going to say this is the final week for Joe Flacco, I would think. Again, Joe Flacco doesn't give a crap one way or the other. If the Jets win or lose, if he throws a touchdown or just his body demeanor alone. Okay. That being said, Mike White, obviously, we never heard of him last year, but what does he do? He throws for 400 yards, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is Mike White is mobile. Joe Flacco's not mobile. Back to Robert Saleh, I think he had a very bad week. He took the bait with the media, and he comes across, and I think he hit it right on the head, like in over his head here. Joe Douglas is not losing his job over Robert Saleh. So if somebody's going to go first, it's Robert Saleh. But I have no faith in the Jets. The defense played well, but I have zero faith in the Jets today at Cleveland. And Joe Flacco, hopefully this should be the last time we see him. Zach Wilson's supposed to be back in 2 more weeks. But we might see Mike White by halftime. We may see Mike White today by the second quarter.
Maybe.
Right? Especially if they go down, they're down 10-0 or 14-0, something like that.
Yep. And Jeremy sent us a comment that the Jets are the Hindenburg of the NFL. They're so far away from, and listen, you got all of this young talent now. You got Wilson. They had a great draft, Sauce Gardner. Robert Saleh is not the guy to take this team to the next level.
I still think it's way too early to say that. I do.
No, he's going to survive the year. He's not getting canned in the beginning.
Right. But slowly but surely he is.
Yep.
The signs are indicating that he is slightly over his head. And again, he's got to fix this and fix it fast.
He
And
does.
Jeremy also posted, asked the question about Will Levis at Kentucky. Will Levis, by all accounts, is going to be one of the top 3 quarterbacks, I believe, taken in the NFL draft. The kid's got talent. And, Mark Stoops, we talked about. Our sister brought that up about 3 weeks ago, that, he's now the all-time winningest coach at Kentucky.
Yep.
But when Mark Stoops is able to recruit guys like a Will Levis, that helps your program. But Will Levis will be a top quarterback taken in the NFL draft in 23.
So I guess we're talking Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis. Okay, I didn't even know he was in that kind of category.
Yeah, he's up there, no question.
Okay. So, Steve, let's do our weekly picks. First of all, we'll recap last week. I was 1-1-1.
Nice.
Cincinnati let the game slip away. They should have had that against Pittsburgh. New Orleans took care of business. But Indianapolis, Houston, what an ugly 2020 tie. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Expected more out of Matt Ryan, especially against the lousy Houston team. But
I lost the Giant game.
you did. And did you have the Pats over the Dolphins? Or?
I had the Dolphins, and then I had the Ravens.
Okay.
2-1.
But listen, Lamar Jackson didn't do anything to dismiss his demands to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. So,
Well, he shut down negotiations. They're not negotiating anymore.
I understand that.
Listen, again, like Aaron Judge betting on himself, and is obviously, it's coming out very well for him.
Yep.
And the same thing with Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson is more susceptible to injury than Aaron Judge. Let's make no bones about it.
Yep.
So we got, Lamar Jackson's got to, hope
Okay.
he doesn't tear a knee or something. So
I'll give you my 3 picks for the week, and one of them is just like we talked about, the Jets of Cleveland. I don't see any way that the Jets can, especially with Flacco on the road. And again, I think Myles Garrett's going to eat him for lunch today. I don't know about how much confidence I have in Jacoby Brissett. He's a serviceable guy, but I don't think they're going to have any trouble today. And I like for Matt Ryan and the Colts to bounce back big against Jacksonville, because I don't see them being a formidable foe. And my third game is, I don't know what I'm thinking at times, but I just don't have that much confidence in the Raiders. And they're playing Arizona, and Arizona looked terrible last week. It still drives me crazy that they succumbed to these demands of Kyler Murray, who hasn't done anything in this league. So I'm going to take.
Will you stop with Kyler Murray hasn't done anything in this league, please?
What is it?
Please.
What has he done?
Rookie of the year?
I don't think so.
No, he hasn't done anything. The Cardinals are irrelevant.
Are they? Cliff Kingsbury?
I'm really getting tired of the slings and arrows of Kyler Murray.
Okay.
So
Give me your 3 picks for the week.
Sharpen up your game and start liking Kyler Murray.
Give me your 3 picks for this week. So,
well, obviously the Browns are one of them.
Oh, hold on. Who's that last pick?
Arizona over Vegas.
Me, I'm going with the Browns because until proven otherwise, the Jets are easy money. I'm going with the Ravens over the Dolphins. The Ravens are home. The Dolphins had their big win against New England. I see the Dolphins coming back to earth. I see the Ravens looking good. And I've been back and forth here, folks. But I have to go with Jim on the Colts. And the reason is last year, where did the Colts finish? They played at Jacksonville. What did they have to do last year? They had to win the game to get into what? The playoffs. And they did not. And Robert Irsay, the owner, right, is, it's got a temper. So I would venture there's probably 45 of the 53 guys still on the roster from last year. right? So there's
Right.
turnover, obviously Matt Ryan, etc. But that's the reason Carson Wentz is out the door. Matt Ryan is there. If the Indianapolis Colts aren't freaking fired up today to go back to that site and put a mauling on the Jags,
Yep.
then I'm going to have to question Indianapolis going forward. That being said, I'm all in on Indianapolis kicking the crap out of the Jags. Those are
Okay.
my three.
Yeah, so we're aligned here. The only thing, I think you're right about Miami. I'm just not sold on them, and I don't think the Ravens are going to give that.
Well, they're not
much.
going to go undefeated. Like nobody's going to go undefeated. So teams
course.
are going to lose, So this is a week where I think they'll lose.
Yeah. Okay. So Steve, let's switch gears. Or no, you know what? One other thing, NFL related, and my brother Thomas and I were talking about this yesterday. This whole Brett Favre situation.
Oh, I was bringing this up before the show
Oh
was
my
over.
God. I mean, he has turned into the biggest piece of garbage.
He hasn't turned into the biggest piece of garbage. He's always been a piece of garbage. It's now exposed.
Okay.
When you were, listen, could you be any dumber, texting? So, you think the media is going to find out about this? The media won't find out about this, will it? I mean, let's be real. Now, we're talking the governor and these other bozos in the Mississippi government, which is the poorest state in the United States.
That's what makes it so much
right.
more.
And they're stealing diverting $70 million. And you have Brett Favre, because his daughter is playing volleyball at his alma mater, University of Southern Mississippi, to get $5 million stolen from welfare to build this.
Oh.
Hey, Brett, you're going to tell me you don't have $5 million in your pocket, let alone from your Wranglers and Copper Tops and all these commercials? I mean, Brett Favre for me, he'll never come back for me. We're a second chance society. Apologize. Yeah, I get it. But Brett Favre, no, I'm sorry, dude.
And you're supposed
and
to.
I hope he goes. I hope he has to stand in jail for a little bit, but he won't. I don't think he will.
But the whole deplorable thing is he's from Mississippi, just like you said, especially what they just went through with, the past couple of months. It was just a horrific scene.
He doesn't care.
All for his benefit to build a volleyball stadium.
He doesn't care.
It is
and face it, he can't be that educated either. Okay, I hate to say, I don't think Brett Favre is a Mensa member.
Well, he certainly showed his colors about being stupid.
Brett's a gunslinger. You want Brett on that. Brett's a real gunslinger.
Right.
Sick of him.
Yep. So, Steve, let's touch base real quick on. There wasn't a lot of big shockers yesterday like there was in week one of college football, but we did talk about this. He was on our radar. We knew Scott Frost was going to take the fall, and they got upset at home by Georgia Southern. So that ultimately cost him his job. And then, you and I used to look forward to the Oklahoma-Nebraska game like it was the Super Bowl for us. And now, I don't know what has
used to be around Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but that whole rivalry now with Nebraska, this is just shocking how far they have fallen. I mean, they got destroyed by Oklahoma. And that's that lost their coach, lost their quarterback, they lost everything, and they still crushed them.
Well, it's understandable, apparently, because, and I don't get it, but football's cyclical. But Nebraska is one of those places where you don't expect this fall off to the where they are. Why? Because they got the corn-fed boys, and their linemen, were what, 320, 25, beast. They get the skill positions from around the country, this, that, and the other thing. They just don't have the talent. So, Trev Alberts, we talked about, former All-American linebacker, Colts first-round pick, loves Nebraska. He had to do what he had to do. And listen, he gave Scott Frost plenty of warning this was going to happen.
Yep.
But now Trev Alberts has to hit a home run. He has to find the guy. And Trev Alberts is not going to limit it to, he's got to be a Nebraska man or all that. He's got to find the best coach out there, young, old, whoever it is, and they got a lot of fixing to do
Yeah.
in Lincoln.
But I think you're right. I think Trev Alberts is the right guy to take this off. I mean, he's loyal through and through, and you're right. He's got to hit a home run on this because
there's no question.
yeah,
He doesn't hit a home run, then he's going to be out the door.
Yep. And so listen, it's kind of been a rough start for Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. I mean, they did win, but they didn't win convincingly over Cal yesterday. But they did win. Some good performance from the St. Joe's running back, right? Audric Estime had a real good game. And they're, like I said, they lost their starting quarterback. I think Pine has some experience anyway. So I think, that's not maybe a big drop off. But waiting in the wings is former Bergen Catholic quarterback Steve Angeli, right? So we keep talking about local high school football. And remember, going back with Notre Dame, Matt Lavecchio was like a 4-year starter at Notre Dame as a freshman. So local talent, good. Not big surprises yesterday across the board. Ohio State rolled again. Alabama got back into the swing.
They both played patsies. Which,
they did, of course they did. But those are the things you have to.
Right, but then you're expecting Ohio State to score 77 freaking points, and you're expecting Alabama to score 60 points.
And they scored 63.
I think the best game, or the matchup I was looking forward to most was the Texas A&M Miami game.
Yeah,
Texas A&M won. Alex Van Dyke now, for folks, this is the Miami quarterback who burst on the scene last year early on, and he's considered, as of now, one of the, a first-round talent at quarterback. So I was really looking forward to seeing him against the tough Texas A&M team, even though Texas A&M got upset last week. But Texas A&M's quarterback is a guy named Max Johnson, because Haynes King was ineffective, and this is the guy that beat Alabama last year. But Max Johnson looked real good. He's a transfer out of LSU. Kelly couldn't keep him. As soon as he heard Kelly was taking the job, out the door he went. But Texas A&M bounced back. Alex Van Dyke struggled all night. He only, he was mediocre. So it happens as an ex-quarterback. Believe me, I've had games where, you can't do anything right. So I thought it was, that was the game I looked forward to, and it was pretty close. It was not a lot of points were scored.
Yep. But like I said, you just gotta. I still believe that Marcus Freeman's the right answer. They got a great recruiting class waiting in the wings, so he'll turn this around. But you can't. Turn it around.
They better, but this is going to be a long year for Notre Dame. And we talked before the show. If you're beating Cal 24-17, and you already lost the first 2 games, and you're still at Notre Dame Stadium.
Yeah.
Listen, I was expecting Notre Dame 52-10, 52-21. I was expecting, snot coming out of their nose on the line of scrimmage. And listen, if they're beating Cal 24-17, when they start playing the big boys, forget about it.
Yep. But I gotta say, this is a real feel-good story. And listen, ESPN was there yesterday for game day, Appalachian State, right? I mean, this is kind of a good story. I saw the interview with the coach, who's a real down-to-earth guy, former Appalachian State player. Listen, are they going to win the national championship? No, but it's nice that they get some recognition. I thought it was pretty cool.
No, absolutely. And again, the 2 big signature wins against major Division I programs. And and App State is always competitive, trying to win the 1AA national championship. Yeah. And, unfortunately, it's typically North Dakota State,
right.
That's been the last man standing in that division or subdivision. I call it 1AA, folks. And that's what it was when I, was there. And I don't even know what the hell they call it now. The subdivision of all that. So it's the next level down from Division I.
It is. But I just thought that was a feel-good story because we're
Yeah.
always talking about Ohio State, Alabama, right? The usual.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
all in on that.
Cool. So, Steve, let's just touch base real quick on Major League Baseball as we're winding down, right? The Judge Watch is still on, right? So he's at 57 with what, 18, 19 games left, something like that.
At 17 probably after last night.
Yeah, but I see this guy getting it done. Maybe not 63, but I think he's going to at least hit 60. But
He's got to hit 5 more.
and listen, the lead is shrinking. It's only 4 games now, so they got to hang on there.
This is far from over. So
I know.
I'm actually attending a week from today. The game was originally at 1 o'clock against the Red Sox. They just pushed it back now to 7 o'clock. So I'm attending the game with my girl and looking
I suppose
forward to
that
it.
was moved for the Judge Watch.
Of course. So listen, I was with her last night. We went out to dinner and so on. And I said, you know what? I said, there's a fair chance Aaron Judge could hit 4 home runs from last night to next Sunday. And I said, wouldn't that be something if we're in Yankee Stadium on Sunday night and he's at 61 and boom. And we're there. I'm just saying. Okay. Now, the other side of the problem is a woman. I'm sorry, Jeremy, with my woman. What was I going to say? On the other side, with Amazon and all this crap, man, there's a shot that Aaron Judge could hit number 62, and the game is on Amazon Prime,
right? So
where a majority of Yankee fans, I bet you don't have Amazon Prime. And wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be great for Major League Baseball, to cash those Amazon checks while history is being made and denied to multiple Yankee fans? And the other quagmire the Yankees have is John Sterling, the radio voice, who is definitely, let's be real, is at the end. But Sterling has days off, pre-planned days off coming up in the next couple of weeks. And there's a shot that John Sterling will not be behind the microphone calling this historic shot, if it happens, for the Yankees. Wow. You know who it'd be? Be Ryan Ruocco. And I'm not knocking Ryan Ruocco. I like Ryan Ruocco.
Yeah, I do
too. But Ryan Ruocco, he looks like not only does he look like he's 8, right? He's like 25, 26, 27 maybe. And, hey, it'd be great for Ryan Ruocco. But these are kind of these behind-the-scenes things that could play out.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, what bothers me, again, it's Major League Baseball. It's all about the money. I mean, it's no different than anything else.
But I didn't give that some thought. You could be right because they're putting some games on Apple TV and Amazon as well, which that would be something if the New York market got blocked out as some historic thing like that. That was a great point, Steve. Great point. Yep. So anyway, baseball's winding down. The Judge Watch is happening, and the Mets are hanging on. The Dodgers keep rolling. It's kind of the same story. So, and we'll touch base on that. Before we move on to our random points of interest, Steve, I just wanted to kind of wrap up the past week of the U.S. Open because it was one of the best U.S. Opens in 20 years. It was just match after match, which was relevant. And now you got the number 1 player in the world is all but 19 years old, Carlos Alcaraz. And like I said, there are other guys, but what was the big news of the tennis world besides that was that Roger Federer, which we kind of suspected, closing out his career, right? So we keep talking about the big 3 and it's been an unbelievable 20-year run for those guys. But I wanted to just wish Roger Federer all the best because he's been nothing but a stand-up, great representative for tennis, and kudos to him retiring at 41.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the news earlier in the week, and first thing I said was, job well done, really. I mean,
Yep.
Roger Federer is a pure icon, and what can you say about Roger Federer? When he was in his prime, and Tiger Woods was in his prime, right? Those were the two most dynamic athletes, right? You had Michael Phelps in between there. I'm talking like an individual sport type of thing.
8 Wimbledon titles.
Right.
I mean,
Right. And you sprinkle in a Michael Phelps, in an Olympics every couple of years, whatever it was.
Yep.
What can you say? Roger Federer, congratulations, and the injuries caught up to him, and Father Time caught up to him like it does to all of us.
It sure did. And Steve, just one other quick thing. Yesterday, there was just a great, and again, we talk about high school football a lot in North Jersey because these guys are relevant. They're going to big schools. But there was a 4-game series called the Battle of the Bridge yesterday with St. Joe's and DePaul and Don Bosco, these powerhouse schools. And St. Joe's was the only one that came out victorious yesterday. So these were teams that, and even goes way back. I think your first game ever was against St. Joe's versus St. Anthony's. And that's who they beat yesterday, 63-43 or something. It was, but what a big deal. And a big shout out for one of our listeners, Jim Smith, who's an alumni of Archbishop Stepinac. They came out and came to Jersey, and they played well. They beat DePaul. Great series, though.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've watched over the last 10 years, I guess now. When Don Bosco won the mythical national championships, I think it was 2009, 2007, and 2009. I believe they won it, which is now over a decade. So when they say they won the mythical national championship, well, they had to go down to Hoover, Alabama, right? Like one trip, and Hoover was no joke. But it's come now to where it's slowly becoming kind of like a college schedule, right? Because Joe's is opening up in D.C. and you find out Bosco or Bergen flew out to Arizona. And then, Bosco's in Florida and things like that. So then what's great is the Battle of the Bridge, too. Meaning New York, New Jersey, whatever. It could be Pennsylvania, too, thrown in there. This is great stuff. This is great stuff for high school football.
And I know I'd be remiss if I didn't mention who was an alumni of St. Anthony's from Huntington, Michael Garvey, Mike.
Michael Garvey.
Hey, they held their own, though. They held their own. Yeah.
And Mr. Smith, you referred to as a fellow Dallas Cowboy fan like myself.
He certainly is. Certainly is. So, Steve, let's move on to our random points of interest, which, of course, weekly is sponsored by Lynch Motors. And I will be seeing President Michael Lynch next week, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again. It's been a long time with the COVID and everything like that. So just a couple of things. And wanted to bring up that, Albert Pujols, right, keeps knocking him out. So he moves to third all-time list. And I know I've been kind of critical of his past few years being a compiler and whatnot, but
you're going to be an old softy here now.
I am. I'm going to be a softy because I always liked the guy, and I think he's been a good representative for Major League Baseball. So I'm pulling for him to get to 700. I don't know if that means if he ends up with 699, does he come back for a cup of coffee next year? I don't think so.
Once he gets 700, he'll get 700.
You think
Albert, I all along Albert Pujols, I think, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten caught. I'm not saying he's a steroid. I'm just not. I got no proof of that. He's a well-built man.
Sure.
Right. I'll leave it at that. But 700. And he passed Alex Rodriguez, which anybody that passes anything with Alex Rodriguez, I'm all for. But I mean, come on, he gets 700. There's absolutely no reason to come back. I mean, how much money can this guy possibly spend?
I don't know that it's money, but it could be good PR for the Cardinals.
It's all about the money.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But talking about home runs, because listen, I'm a big fan of Mike Trout. But overall, his body of work due to injuries or whatever, hasn't been kind of what we had expected. Certainly not Pujols numbers, but it drives me crazy. And you and I bring this up all the time. You brought it up a couple weeks about a guy makes an interception and he does the, a crazy dance like it was the biggest play of his career.
Right. Well, meanwhile, they're losing 28-7.
That's my point. And they're 25 games under 500, but Mike Trout hit home run in 5 or 6 straight games, and they wear the cowboy hat in the dugout. Like, dude, you got to act like you've been there before. This isn't a good look for you.
Baseball's a kid's game. It's all about having fun. And whether or not you're 39 games out of first place, nothing to play for, gotta have fun. Loosen up the boys.
Yeah,
looks ridiculous. It does. It's a grown man. Act like a professional, like you've been there before. For Christ's sake.
That's the point I'm trying to make here. And I wanted to bring one other thing up because we kind of really touched on this several times, and you brought it up, and other people have brought it up. The minor league baseball and so forth. So in New Jersey, the New Jersey Jackals are moving to the newly renovated Hinchcliffe Stadium in Paterson. And why is that notable for us? Because I know I did. I think you played in that stadium as well from a football perspective. So that's this is right next to the Paterson Falls, which is a beautiful, beautiful scenic, tourist attraction in New Jersey. So it's gaining leverage, minor league baseball.
Right. So, for our audience members out there that don't know anything about, live in different states and so on, Hinchcliffe Stadium in Paterson, New Jersey was, back in the day, like a prominent stadium. Yeah. And over the last, even when we played in the 80s, the place was falling apart. Like it was slow, right, demise of the stadium because there's no funds to do anything about it, so on and so forth. So a redevelopment and fundraising and so on and so forth. It's in Passaic, New Jersey, which is Paterson. Paterson, New Jersey is the first industrialized city in the United States. It was founded by Alexander Hamilton. Textiles and silk and rayon and textiles was the main business of Paterson. They call it Silk City. So the Jackals are only maybe 7 miles away, playing Montclair, New Jersey. So this is a great thing for Hinchcliffe Stadium and for Paterson. It's in an area, like Jim said, the historic Paterson Falls. So it's not in the. So when I actually work in Paterson, so when I tell you folks, this is a tough, rough and tumble. Areas of Paterson. This is not. This is kind of like on the outskirts, where you can come in, park, feel safe, and you got restaurants and stuff. So this is great. And I'll go check it out. I mean, absolutely. And then there'll be football games again. Like Eastside and Kennedy are the 2 main high schools in Paterson, and it's a good thing.
Why I bring it up and why it was noteworthy, Hinchcliffe Stadium, because when I played there, I got hit the hardest I ever got hit on a football field. And I mean, this guy crushed me. And so I remember getting up off the dirt.
Oh, you don't remember anything.
No, but I remember just seeing like white, and it took me literally 2 minutes to even know where I was. So I can't wait to go back from a nostalgia perspective, but it's going to be good for the city. I think.
Right, and you got the best of care on the sideline with the top flight medical attention after you took a sip of water, and then when we punted, you were back out on the field in 2.5 minutes.
Well, listen,
it's not funny, but folks, but that's the way it was.
That's right. If Roger Goodell had anything to say about it and I got a concussion and I lost my marbles, he wouldn't have paid my medical bills. So
I was sent to the hospital on 2 occasions I can remember.
Yeah.
From concussions.
Yeah. So, but this is great, right? We're in week 2. We got to move on to some notable passings, and one in particular I wanted to bring up first. This is a heartbreaking story. Anthony Vivaro, who was a former pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, retired, became a Port Authority Police Department, was on his way to the 9/11 ceremony down in Lower Manhattan, killed in a wrong way crash on, just devastating news for baseball fans, police officer, first responders of all days for that to happen. 37 years old. Tragic.
Yeah. Brutal. I
Oh,
was torn when I heard that news.
I know.
I remember Anthony Vivaro, absolutely, as
Sure.
the major league pitcher, and
Yeah, he played with the Red Sox for a little bit as well, I think. And but
think
what
the
a terrible,
Braves.
terrible story. Oh my God. We just wanted to send our
R.I.P. I mean, yeah, it's just it's tragic how things like that happen. That's why.
Terrible. So
Terrible.
one other noteworthy, Stephen, I just found out about this yesterday, was because we talked about the Mets Old Timers Day a couple of weeks ago. Catcher John Stearns, 71, passed away yesterday. And, he's been battling cancer, but he knew about this. And, going to that Old Timers Day he literally found the fortitude and strength to go there and be part of that ceremony. And he finally succumbed yesterday at the age of 71. And he was a good player on some lousy teams. And, when somebody like that passes away, that's why we do our notable segment, because it's to honor them, not to mourn them, in a morbid way. But that was, what a great story that he was able to make that Old Timers Day and then hang on there.
Yeah, John Stearns was a great athlete. John Stearns played at Colorado. John Stearns was a football player at Colorado as well,
Yes, he was.
as a major league, talent. John Stearns came up on some crappy Met teams,
Yeah,
and John Stearns was the catcher. He played first base, but we remember him mostly as a catcher.
definitely.
I think tough. John Stearns was a tough guy, and had to play at least 12 years, I think, if not more. Probably about 12. And yeah, and again, the Mets did such a great job this year. And again, it goes to that ownership, Steve Cohen, of bringing back Old Timers Day. And Old Timers Day for the Mets this year it was an absolute home run. It really was. And then to top it off with John Stearns not knowing, and Old Timers Day was only, 3 weeks ago. Not even a month ago, probably. And the fact that, again, no, I don't think anybody knew. Maybe, a few select, but John Stearns knew the clock was ticking, and a warrior like that willed himself to New York, to Queens, to see his teammates one last time. And, and I think it's a great story. And, John Stearns, rest in peace. But yeah,
well, that's what we take pride in, Stephen. We do this show. We look for those guys with that kind of character and fortitude, and it's something that, it's less and less frequent that we see it. So when you see something like that, it really does lift your spirits and say, maybe there is some hope. Maybe these other guys that don't exhibit the character equivalent to their level of athleticism, sometimes it's frustrating, but we would absolutely be remiss if we didn't mention John Stearns.
No question about it.
Yeah. And there was one other thing. Again, we don't try to be politicians or whatever, but he was a prominent guy, in Kenneth Starr, and passed away this week. Right?
A prominent guy.
Very prominent, but like I said, it was politicized, more than it really should have been. But he was an educator. He was, a top flight intellect, and that's notable from us when we see somebody like that in
no question
in the world.
And again, Kenneth Starr is famous, but with this Whitewater crap with Clinton, and and again, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Yeah, okay. But the thing is, again, the smear campaign of the left at that time targeted who? Kenneth Starr. Why? Because he's trying to seek the truth. whatever the truth may be.
Yep.
But Kenneth Starr, his reputation impeccable, his character impeccable. Like you said, a teacher, brilliant lawyer, well respected, and
Yep.
R.I.P. to Kenneth Starr.
Yeah, he was 76. Yeah. So listen, couple just real wrapping up. Want to give a shout out to Tony from one of our loyal listeners. I know she's a little off because their 49ers didn't play so well in a monsoon last week. So we wish her and their 49ers good, because I like this kid Trey Lance. He's a good kid. But you're right. Garoppolo's waiting in the wings. And to one of our other loyal listeners who Abe Vallejo, big Green Bay Packers fan, big University of Wisconsin fan. He had a rough week last week, so I hope, Abe, for your sake, I hope they bounce back as well.
Right.
So, Rob, we're gonna kind of wrap up here, but I wanted to just at least to make note that Sports with Mono and Mono is considering doing our first live broadcast on location from soon to be determined high school football team game. And we're really looking forward to that. And, these will be relevant teams. But we're excited about the opportunity to do that and hope everyone will join us when we do. Thinking about a couple weeks out, but we're really looking forward to that. That would be great for us.
And we'll be available for autograph signings or anything
Absolutely.
that you want.
Bring your hat.
Bring your foam finger.
Yep. But listen, of course, we always got to remind you, we love to hear from you. We get some great emails. Send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. And again, enjoy the great weather on the Northeast. Enjoy the football season, and we're in the
enjoy your lobster roll that you're gonna have right after the show up in the ocean.
Not having a lobster roll.
Yeah,
Not having a lobster roll.
I'll enjoy my hot dog that I'm going to have after the show.
But it is beautiful up here, and
with kraut and mustard. Yes, no ketchup on these hot dogs, folks.
And like to give a shout out to my brother for hosting us. It was just a wonderful weekend.
Please
Great.
tell him I send my regards.
I certainly will.
Okay.
So, Rob, thanks for the producing behind the curtains, and thanks everybody for listening to the show. And
thank you, Rob.
Again, we'll be back same time next week, and looking forward to our live broadcast. And stay in touch and enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys.